Beneath every real-time application lies a kernel, a compact, focused engine that keeps everything moving with precision. The architecture of an RTOS kernel isn't just technical theory. It directly impacts how your system performs under pressure. Whether it's a drone adjusting mid-flight or an insulin pump reacting to sensor data, timing, reliability, and safety all depend on how the kernel is built. This lesson dives deep into how RTOS kernels are structured, focusing on key components like scheduling, interrupt handling, and inter-process communication. We'll explore how these elements affect performance and what design choices matter most in real-time scenarios. If you want to truly optimize your embedded system, it starts here with the kernel. RTOS kernels come in several architectural styles, each with its own trade-offs and ideal use cases. The three most common designs are monolithic, microkernel, and nanokernel architectures. A monolithic kernel integrates all OS services, like task scheduling, memory management, and drivers, into a single, privileged memory space. This design offers speed and simplicity, enabling direct hardware access and fast inter-process communication. However, the tight coupling also means a bug. In one part can crash the whole system, and scaling becomes harder as complexity grows. Microkernels, on the other hand, take a minimalist approach. The core kernel only handles essentials like task switching and basic IPC, inter-process communication. Everything else, file systems, drivers, protocol stacks, runs in user space. This isolation improves security and stability, as failures in one service won't bring the whole system down. But it introduces message passing overhead, which may degrade performance and increase RAM usage. At the smallest end of the spectrum is the nanokernel, which offers only the bare minimum: thread switching, interrupt dispatching, and low-level timing. It's extremely lightweight and ideal for deeply embedded systems where even microsecond-level delays matter. However, nanokernels typically leave memory management and IPC to external modules, relying heavily on hardware support. Choosing the right model depends on your priorities: speed, isolation, memory usage, or system complexity. Monolithic kernels are the foundation of many well-known RTOS platforms, like FreeRTOS, MCOS, and RTX. They operate with all core functions: scheduling, synchronization, timers, memory management, and device drivers, bundled into one contiguous memory space. This architecture allows direct and rapid access to system resources, minimizing context switch overhead and enabling faster response times. Since there's no need for message passing or separate memory boundaries between services, monolithic kernels offer low latency and excellent performance, making them ideal for deeply embedded systems with tight timing constraints. However, the simplicity comes at a cost. There's no memory protection between components, meaning a bug in one service, like a driver or a user task, can corrupt others or bring down the entire system. As the project grows, this architecture can become difficult to maintain. Debugging interdependencies becomes harder, and modular updates are risky. Another challenge is that monolithic kernels lack fault isolation, making them less suitable for safety-critical systems that demand high availability or runtime certification. Despite these concerns, monolithic kernels remain popular due to their ease of use, minimal resource footprint, and strong community support in the embedded world. Microkernel architectures, as used in QNX Neutrino, Integrity, and L4, separate the core kernel from peripheral services like file systems, drivers, and networking stacks. These services run in user mode, interacting with the kernel through IPC mechanisms. This separation brings key advantages. Stability and fault isolation are dramatically improved. If a driver crashes, it doesn't take down the kernel or affect unrelated services. This design also enhances security, as memory protection units, MPUs, prevent rogue processes from corrupting kernel space. Microkernels are highly modular, allowing dynamic updates or hot swapping components during runtime without rebooting the system, an invaluable feature for industrial, medical, and aerospace applications where uptime is critical. The trade-off is performance. Every interaction between services must go through a message passing interface, incurring latency and CPU overhead. Additionally, more memory is needed to manage multiple isolated address spaces. These systems often require careful tuning and larger footprints, which may not suit small or battery-powered devices. Despite the complexity, microkernels shine in scenarios demanding robustness, real-time certification, and component-level fail-safety, making them the architecture of choice for mission-critical systems. When selecting an RTOS architecture, it's rarely black and white. Every choice involves trade-offs. Monolithic kernels excel at speed and simplicity, making them great for embedded applications with limited resources and tightly bound performance requirements. Their lean design minimizes overhead, which is critical for applications like motor control or signal processing. However, as system complexity grows, or if safety and isolation become priorities, microkernel architectures begin to shine. They allow for better fault tolerance, security, and modular updates, especially useful in medical or automotive systems that demand high certification levels. To bridge the gap, many RTOS platforms now adopt hybrid kernel architectures. These combine a fast monolithic core for scheduling and interrupt handling, with user space services isolated like a microkernel. Some even use modern MPUs to implement memory protection in monolithic environments, offering improved safety without full architectural separation. Another variable is the hardware platform. If your system has a powerful MPU or MMU, memory management unit, a microkernel might be feasible. On low-power or 8-bit microcontrollers, monolithic designs are typically preferred. Ultimately, balancing performance, protection, memory usage, and maintainability is key to choosing the right kernel design. There's no perfect choice, just the best fit for your application. An RTOS kernel's architecture directly shapes its real-time behavior, particularly in terms of interrupt latency, context switch time, and system call overhead. Monolithic kernels benefit from direct access to kernel routines and hardware, leading to fast context switches and low interrupt latency. Tasks can be scheduled almost immediately upon an interrupt or event, which is critical in hard real-time systems where delays of even a few microseconds can affect stability. The simplicity of their priority-based O1 schedulers further ensures deterministic behavior. In microkernels, although the core may still provide real-time scheduling, the need to communicate between processes via IPC introduces latency variance. For example, servicing an interrupt might require multiple context switches across protection boundaries, slowing down response times. Scheduling policies are often more flexible but less deterministic, which can make hard real-time guarantees harder to uphold. Moreover, system calls in microkernels involve more overhead, as each service, like a driver or timer, may exist in its own memory space. Without careful optimization, this can degrade performance in timing critical operations. The synergy between kernel design and scheduling algorithm is therefore crucial. A high-performance microkernel must implement low-latency IPC and optimized context switching to match monolithic performance. In any case, understanding the impact of architecture on timing behavior is essential to designing embedded systems that consistently meet their real-time constraints.